is it's going to enable us to get out of the recession more quickly. We've taken important steps today to speed up the recovery from the credit crunch and from the recession. But also we've done a lot, I think, starting today to restore confidence in our banks and our financial institutions internationally, to make sure that the sort of crisis that we've been plunged into does not occur again in the future. And that again is a major plus from the meeting today. I mean, I have to say to you, I have attended many international gatherings, through my years as a minister and certainly in the last 4 years as a European Commissioner. I have never felt coming out of an international meeting that so much genuinely was achieved for the better that will have a lasting impact on the way in which we manage the world economy. Now, I realise that what I'm saying is a very big statement.
Well, it's a big hostage to fortune if things don't work out in a few months' time. And where was the fiscal stimulus that we all wanted, apparently?
Can I tell you why I think it's going to be different? Because the international institutions, the IMF and other financial institutions, are going to have to operate differently and better in the future in bringing their management to the global economy. We're going to have to operate by different standards and rules in the way our banks and financial institutions, our lending institutions operate domestically. The way in which we supervise all these things is going to have to be very, very different. And what we've done today is to take the initial steps in bringing about what I believe is going to be a lasting, permanent improvement to the way in which we run our economic affairs around the world.
But there's some things that we're missing today, much talked about. Where is this big global fiscal stimulus package? Where is the new money for infrastructure, for a green economy, new money to create jobs?
Leaders have agreed today that the fiscal stimulus, the investment in recovery, is going to support our conversion to a low-carbon economy, and that's absolutely right. But I think that you're, if you don't mind me saying, slightly missing the big picture here. If you look at what's happened to, for example, the International Monetary Fund, as a result of the decisions that will be implemented during the course of the year following the meeting today. We have seen hundreds of billions of pounds worth of new credit lines put in place, special drawing rights, which is in a sense a new international money from which we will all benefit. We have new financing, credits for international trade. Now, all of this will work through the international economic system. It will boost growth, it will enable us to grow more rapidly and grow out of the recession that we've plunged ourselves into as a result of this crisis.
You know what your opponents are going to say, debt for the future.
And let me make the point. We in Britain are an open economy. We are totally dependent on and connected to what happens in the rest of the world. And I must say, when I heard today the Conservative leader, David Cameron, just dismissing what happened today and saying, well, he hopes the government will now return to domestic politics. This is jaw-dropping ignorance on his part. He simply doesn't get it, that our economic fortunes in this country are tied to the economic fortunes of what happens in the economy in the rest of the world.
Debt for the future. Our children will end up still paying higher taxes because of this. High tax, low growth economy.
You're missing the point again.
Well,
I'm afraid you're missing the point again.
Maybe here to miss many points. That's exactly what
let me tell you the points you're missing. You're missing the point that in the special drawing rights, the international credit facility and money that will now flow into the economy from the IMF will come and benefit our economy like anyone else's.
But it will have to be paid back. These things come due.
Hold on a moment. The finance for trade is going to benefit our exporters like everyone else's. Now, what that means is a major impact on our jobs, our livelihoods, our exporters, our businesses in this country. And it is being financed, by the way, not simply by us. The biggest contributors today, apart from the European Union as a whole, are Japan, China, Saudi Arabia, as well as the United States and the richer economies in the developed world. We will play our part in that, Gavin, but we are seeing a major coming together by developed countries, the richer countries in the world, in order to finance a major boost in global growth.
But do you really think the IMF is up to the job? I mean, when the men from the IMF descend on some countries, they are met with a great deal of fear and resentment, and the outcomes are not always good.
And we've got to see three things happen. We've got to see the way in which the IMF manages its resources change. We've got to see who is represented in the decision-making change to reflect the changes that have taken place in the global economy. But we've also got to remove the stigma that has previously been attached to countries that have used the resources of the IMF. Don't forget that, in a sense, the IMF is now going to develop into a dual role. I mean, a sort of hospital role to help countries and economies that are vulnerable and in distress, but otherwise helping all economies in the world to add to their capital, their liquidity, and the provision of credit lines should they need to draw on them. And this is quite a transformation of the IMF.
All the governments there today talk about how they all hate protectionism, and all of them practice a little bit of it, protecting their industries. You spent years trying to renegotiate or negotiate the Doha round.
I did.
There was nothing about that today, though, was
there? Yes, it was. It was in the communique. You obviously didn't read it.
Well, is it restarting?
Look.
Nothing substantial. Is the Doha round being restarted?
Gavin, please try not to talk down and add to the gloom that has surrounded the world's economy. I know you're trying to do a very good job,
I'm trying to find out if the Doha round on trade protectionism, free trade, is being restarted.
I suggest you read the communique.
Does it say it's
and
being
what
restarted?
You will see from all the nations present, including India and the United States, which for different reasons were two problem countries at the end of the negotiations last year, is a very strong commitment to resuming negotiation and concluding the Doha negotiations. Now, we are going to have to give some breathing space. I readily acknowledge to the United States in this.
Right.
They are a new administration. They have not yet decided whether they're simply going to pick up the negotiations as they were left them by the outgoing US administration. They want some time to look at this, but let's hope that they will not need too much time before they get restuck into the negotiations.
A final thought. Is this a good day for Gordon Brown?
I think it's a good day for the British economy and British jobs, and therefore for confidence in the government.
It's his best day since he's been Prime Minister.
Well, I would say this about Gordon Brown. I was thinking about it today, looking at him at this conference, at the end of which, incidentally, he got a massive ovation from all the other leaders who were present. He does have a combination of a sort of sense of the magnitude and the history of what he's dealing with, as well as a grasp of detail. And I think that when he carefully draws on this big canvas the detailed decisions that he enabled the G20 today to put together, I have to say, credit where credit is due. If we were living in a fair world, he would be applauded not only by the other government leaders who gave him that ovation this afternoon, but the British public as well.
Well, we'll see. Lord Mandelson, thank you very much.
Thank you.